All right, so first let's talk about cover letters. Specifically, we're going to talk first about job cover letters. So this is a letter that you're writing in response to a job call or a job opening. So the first thing that you would need to do to prepare for a job cover letter is to study that job call, like it was your job, for instance. But also any other thing that's out there about that employer. So that's their website, that's their social media, that's maybe some LinkedIn profiles from people that you know that work there or might even be on the hiring committee. If you have any contacts that have worked at that company or do work at that company or employer, whoever it is, those are good people to reach out to. So do all the research that you can, because that is going to influence your cover letter quite a bit. And we'll talk about where in your cover letter those things will really come through, the research that you've done and the like absorption of the job call, where that will come out in the cover letter. But you do want to make sure to do that first and become very familiar with what they're wanting and who they are as a company. The length is 1 page, which is kind of a tough pill to swallow because that's not much space, especially when you count the header, the recipient's address, the signature line. That takes up quite a bit of space. So it is a very, very short document. The exception here is for academic positions where the standard is a 2-page cover letter. The tone for every letter we're talking about today is very formal and businesslike. All right. So let's talk about the outline that I'm presenting here for job cover letters. First, you're going to have header material, which is the same for every single letter type, as is the signature line and the enclosures at the end. The introduction will come first, and we'll talk about what should be in each of these sections. You might have 1 or 2 body paragraphs. So you can see there the paragraph 2 and then paragraph 3 you might have, but you may not have room for 2 body paragraphs. And those body paragraphs will talk about your experience and the relevance of that experience to the job call. And then the last paragraph will be sort of your concluding paragraph. So let's get into the nitty gritty here. So header material, again, same for every single letter type. So apply this across the board. You're going to have 4 things: your letterhead or your heading, the date that you're writing, the recipient's address, and your salutation. So that looks like this. Your letterhead might be a personal letterhead that you just create yourself, like the one you're seeing here, or it might be your current company or your current institution, whoever you are currently working for, their letterhead. That's totally appropriate to use, and actually in most cases looks really good. Now, if you work for the rival company of the company that you're applying for, you can use your judgment. Maybe it's not a good idea to use that company letterhead. But in most cases, I think it looks very professional to use your company letterhead, even if you're seeking a job at a different institution. Now, if you don't have a current affiliation, create your own letterhead. And if you do create your own letterhead, that's something that you can use also for your CV or resume. As you can see, the top of this letter looks much like the top of a CV or a resume. So those can match. That also looks very professional. Then you have your date, and then your recipient's address, and then your salutation. So your salutation, I get questions about this a lot because they're like, I don't know what the person's name is. It's just a company. That's fine. You can do the whole "to whom it may concern," even though that might make you feel, it makes me feel like my mother when I write things like that. But you can do that thing, or you can say like, "Dear hiring committee, dear search committee, dear, whatever it is." And that's fine too. All right, so let's get into your first actually written paragraph. The introductions for each of these letters is going to look really, really similar. I advocate for a 3-part first paragraph, and I feel like this is the part that is a pretty strict rule for me. I like the first paragraph to do these 3 things always. And if you sent me a cover letter, I probably changed your first paragraph to do this. So what I want your first paragraph to do for any letter is to start with a purpose sentence. Something like, I write to apply for the position of blank at blank. Okay, very simple, very boring, but it's the best way to start. And that I have heard colleagues and I have seen people online say, don't start this way because the person that's holding your cover letter already knows what job you're applying for. But that's not necessarily true. People have multiple job openings at once, right? And someone might be the part of multiple hiring committees. Also, again, as formal documents, there's something to be said for sort of fitting the mold, right? The sort of professional mold. And I think this is the expected way to start, and you want to just go with what's expected, right? For these sorts of documents. So I write to apply for the position of blank at blank. The second sentence will give some background information. In the case of a job cover letter, I want you to summarize your career background. So something like, I am a blank with blank years of experience in blank. So you can fill in the blanks for most of these things. So I'm an artist and curator with 10 years of experience in curatorial work, gallery management, and community outreach. Then your last sentence of your first paragraph will always be your thesis or your argument statement. So in this sentence, you are arguing for why you are the one that they should choose for this job. So oh gosh, this thing's always in the way. There we go. No, pop back up. Oh dear, there we go. Move it over here. Maybe. Okay, there we go. So my blank combined with my blank make me an excellent fit for this role. So this person says my artistic knowledge, it's a fake person. My artistic knowledge and management skills combined with my passion for diversifying the contemporary art realm and arts education make me an excellent fit for this role. Now, both the second part and third part of your introductory paragraph should directly reflect the skills and duties that the employer has listed on the job call. And that might be verbatim. Now, I'm not saying pull it and say that you have experience in it if you don't, but highlight the parts of your career history that align with the words that they're using, and pick that as what you highlight in your first paragraph. So for instance, you've done a lot of stuff in your career, right? So for me, for instance, most of my experience is teaching, right? But now I'm an editor. So if I'm applying for an editorial role, I'm not going to start by saying like, I have 10 years of teaching experience, right? I'm going to choose the parts of my history that align with the role that I am seeking. Okay, so these body paragraphs are also 3 parts. Most of the paragraphs are 3 parts. And again, this might be 1 paragraph. You might do 2 paragraphs if you have the space, if they're small paragraphs. But in both of them, or in the one that you have, you're going to describe your expertise. You're going to back it up with an example from your work experience, and then you're going to relate it back to the job at hand. And the expertise that you're choosing to elaborate on in this paragraph are the ones that you mentioned in your first paragraph that also reflect the job call. So here's this one. So in past curatorial roles, I organize community-centered exhibitions showcasing artists that are underrepresented in the arts. For example, and this person goes on to say that they worked with a particular collaborator for 3 years in an annual exhibit, and how they recruited underrepresented artists and the types of themes that were presented, and also how many people that they reached through that. So they give some hard numbers, which is always a good thing. So they said attendance peaked at 275, and these are issues that really do need to reach that sort of size audience. So that looks really, really good because it shows effectiveness. And if you can show effectiveness with hard numbers, that's always ideal, although not always possible. And then the last sentence is going to relate that to the job at hand. So you're going to bring it back to them. So my success in this position, as well as my experience as a curatorial assistant for the Bronx Art Festival, demonstrate my skills in organizing and maintaining an exhibition calendar and coordinating artists and artwork installations. Those are things that they said in their job call are duties that you'll be doing in this new role. It also demonstrates my commitment to amplifying otherwise underrepresented artistic voices, which aligns well with Black and White Gallery's mission. Okay, so this is showing not only did I read the job call carefully, and I'm showing you specifically that I've done the duties before that you're asking for, but also I went to your website and I read your mission, and I'm on board, right? We align in those ways.